Fellow Zambians, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me this evening. It's about 1 o'clock, 13 hours here in Calgary, Alberta, and I think it's 21 hours in Chwempala. It's 21 hours in Chwempala time. And so thank you very much for joining me. My name is Elias Munsha, and I grew up in Chwempala. That's why I like saying Chwempala time. If you're able to send and spread this word around, please do. I'm going to give you a few minutes to spread this around to ensure that we have as many people as possible to join in. Okay. Now I'm coming live on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is Elias Munsha, and our Facebook page is also Elias Munsha. And so you can easily share, you can easily bring in as many people as possible. I think we should be ready to go. If, for example, you want to say something, I have posted the link that you can use so that we can have a discussion of sorts. Okay? Our country was formed in 1964. The forces that brought our country together are part of them, colonialism. We were a group of different tribes, different languages. The accident of colonialism and the accident of what the colonialists did to us found us together united in one country we called Zambia. Most of us did not have a choice. It was not like we were choosing between two countries or where we were going to be born in. Some of our peoples came from different histories. Ancient African history says that some of our people, the Bantus, and several other peoples came together and they settled in this vast country of Zambia. During the Zulu-South African wars, there were some that came from South Africa, the Nguni immigrants running away from the wars of Shaka Zulu, settled in the eastern part of our country. Legend has it that the Bantu Botatwe, as historians would call them, were one of the earliest that arrived in our beautiful country. For some of the Bemba speakers, or as they call them, the Luba Lunda Empire immigrants, also came in, and we together in 1964 formed one country, the nation of Zambia. What we need as a country is unity. Now, it is not a unity which you just sing about in the national anthem or repeat at the coat of arms. It is a unity that must be sincere. It is a unity that must be inspired not only by words, but by action. It is a unity which all of us together as a country must hold our brothers and sisters, no matter where they come from, no matter their tribe or their language. Hold them together. And for those that feel like the Zambian promise has not delivered anything for them, that we make them feel like they are part of the Zambian story. That Zambia does not just belong to the Bembas, or to the Tongas, or to the Lozes, or to the people of Chipata alone, that it belongs to all of us. Because what I earlier called an accident may actually have been part of the plan of God, that we together shall be part of this country. Recently, in keeping with normal practice, our country embarked on what is known as mobile registration of its citizens. This is a program that must be done so that as soon as our citizens are registered as citizens, they can then do the next step, which is to register as voters. The reason is simple. In 1964, in 1963, 62, and 1961, all the Zambians, all the freedom fighters were fighting for one simple thing, that every Zambian has the right to vote. They used to call it one man, one vote. It meant that as long as you were a citizen of Zambia and you were 18 years old, you could register as a voter and participate in the affairs of your country. We have received extremely disturbing reports that this government did have the mobile registration exercise done, but it was only done in phase 1. And we are being told that phase 1 covered the north of our country. I do happen to have my village from the north somewhere in Luapula. And the mobile exercise did what it could. It worked for our people. Suddenly, we now hear that there is something that has happened and this mobile exercise is going to be delayed in the south. This is a major source of concern. It is a major source of concern because there is a perception that this government is trying to disenfranchise a good section of our people. We must find it unacceptable that a government would try to disenfranchise a good section of our country. Because we are one country, we rise together and we fall together. And so we are appealing to this government to resolve all the problems that it has to resolve so that citizens in the south and in the west and in rural areas have the opportunity to have a green NRC so that they can register as voters. Because that is who we are as a country, and that is what we are. The fact that political disputes are settled through the ballot box. But this ballot box cannot just be the ballot box of areas that are perceived to be PF strongholds. It's got to be settled by the ballot boxes that every citizen in our country cast. We are therefore sympathizing, and we understand that there will always be logistical problems. But if these logistical problems only affect one area more than another area, that becomes a cause of concern. Now, I'm saying this because I believe in Zambian unity. And Zambian unity truly entails that all of our citizens are equal. And the equality of all of our citizens means that each one must be given the same chances that the others have. We therefore appeal to the current government to do everything that it can to begin that suspended program and deliver green NRCs to all the Zambians that are eligible, no matter where they are. The Electoral Commission of Zambia is saying that they will go ahead to begin registering voters, even without settling the green national registration distribution issue. We are appealing to the Electoral Commission of Zambia that they are not the Electoral Commission of Bembas or Easterners or Nyanjas alone. It is the Electoral Commission of all Zambians. And as a result, they cannot go on to begin the registration of voters without, first of all, dealing with the registration, the distribution of green NRCs to all Zambians who are eligible to vote and have turned the age of 18. I know that there are a lot of challenges, but we are going to deal with these challenges. But what we disagree with is this negligent attitude towards this issue. We are one country. We are one Zambia. And we are one nation. And if we are one Zambia and one nation, we must act like it. And we must channel our resources and our resolve to ensure that every citizen has the same opportunities, difficult as it may be. We cannot allow the situation where the Minister of Home Affairs is saying that no, these challenges will mean that a huge section of our people is going to be disenfranchised. We're not going to agree to that. We reject that. What we are saying is get to work, do what you can, and ensure that every citizen in our country obtains their green NRC and are registered to vote. What good would it be? What election would it be if we disenfranchise a good section of our people? Are we going to face them in the eye and tell them that this is your government? No. We must work together to see that these green NRCs are distributed and the mobile exercise is fair and the mobile exercise goes to all areas in our beautiful country. That is what it means to be one Zambia, one nation. Bantu kwena. It cannot be tolerated. Nomba amamashini yale bomba fye bwino kwesu kuluwapula. Kumansa amamashini yale bomba fye bwino yasafu afye chirya nomba festu yaisa yakoba tutuye mukulembesha abatonga n'abalozi nabambi epo yafuira. We cannot tolerate this. We can't agree with this. It is wrong. And so we have to appeal to other citizens in our country, maybe Tonga or Lozi or any other citizens. You need to know that the people that are trying to jeopardize your chances do not love this country. They're betrayers of our country. We rise and fall together. We marry inter-tribes. I personally have Lozi children that I'm extremely proud of. And they must grow in a country. They must grow up in a country. They must hear the Zambian story, a Zambia of unity. Not this thing ukwakwebati amamashini yali bomba kuluwapula but kumongo yafwa. That should not be tolerated. The next thing that has suddenly arisen, and this we must address and talk about. We have just read a statement from the chief spokesperson for the government of the Republic of Zambia, Honorable Dora Siliya. She has issued a statement in which she is quoting a former Minister of Finance, who served in about 96, 97, 98. Her name is Honorable Edith Nawakwi. Honorable Edith Nawakwi has suddenly got this revelation several years after the privatization program, in which she is accusing one of the frontliners, opposition leader. She is accusing Mr. Hakainde Hichilema of having mismanaged privatization. Honorable Nawakwi is telling us that much of the misery that we are facing today is as a result of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema's actions during the privatization program. She has said that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema sold a particular asset in Livingston at a very cheap price. She has told us that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema went on to give himself that property. We as citizens must be aware that the so-called events that Ms. Nawakwi is talking about, Honorable Nawakwi, is talking about happened some 20 years ago, if not 21 or 22 years ago. Most of our people in Zambia are young. That is one of the blessings that Zambia is blessed with right now. They are in their 20s. They may not know the history of what exactly transpired in the 90s. They were only babies. It is incumbent upon us to have one thing or two to say about it. The privatization program was something necessary that our country needed to do. We had industries quite all right, and we had assets quite all right. But all these companies, due to political interference, were not making any profits. Members of the ruling party were the ones who were having access to these companies for free. We had a company known as Zambia Airways, and it would fly the ruling party's top officials at half price, sometimes at zero price. Zambians are extremely hardworking people. But the role of the political party, of the ruling party in these companies betrayed the very tenets of businesses and corporations. By the 80s, these companies were running at a loss. They were assets only from what we were seeing from outside. They were huge liabilities. To keep them going, our country borrowed billions of dollars to keep these parastatals going. And the whole reason was to try and keep workers happy as much as possible. But like everything else that is built on sand, it could not last very long. Soon after, we started to default on loans. We couldn't pay back as a country. What we believed were assets became huge liabilities. Difficult decisions had to be made. Companies like UBZ, instead of running at a profit, they started running at a loss. Because at any time, the ward chairman would summon UBZ buses to ferry cadres to go and salute the head of state at that time. That was one of the things that led to the decline of those companies. I sympathize with many older than me who look back to the Kaunda era and look at it with a lot of nostalgia. They miss it. They looked at the free things that were coming from the state and they want to go back to that time. Free education, free works in the mines. But one thing that we needed to settle from the Kaunda regime was the fact that there is nothing for free. It costs something. And we were paying it through loans and borrowing. We were not turning a profit. UBZ was under the command of cadres. They could summon it at any time. That was the crisis that led to the need to privatize these companies. Now, of course, the privatization program may not have been done the way we all wished it was done, but it was something that was necessary to be done. And that's why I commend Frederick Chiluba and his government. They did what they could. They tried to reorient our economy from an economy that was inward looking, an economy that was driven by the cadres, an economy that was collapsed by the ruling party, to an economy that is going to be much more liberal. The price was huge that Zambians had to pay. A lot of our people lost jobs as a result of all that reorganization. But it was a necessary reorganization to assure that there is a future for our country. And we started doing very well. Tough as it was, difficult as it was. I personally grew up in Chiwempala in the 90s, in Chingola. My family did not have a lot. We were business people. We used to sell salaola and used to trade with Congo. That is my history. And so the effects of all these job losses were very clear for many to see. But that sacrifice was necessary so that our country's economy can be reoriented to something good. By the time that Chiluba was leaving office and Mwanawasa came in, we also had our debts forgiven by the multilateral lending institutions. It was huge. And we started doing better. The fundamentals of our country's economy started performing better. Until today. Until today, because we have a president who told us he had no vision. But we were deceived by his very humbling demeanor. We thought a person who looks this humble may have ideas to develop our country. He did not. We were taken by how a person looks. Now, what is really a problem here is not that President Lungu has failed, but rather that President Lungu cannot even ask for help from people who can help steer this economy back on track, just as Chiluba envisioned it to be. So he has run down this country. He has run down Zambia. The kwacha, the economy, everything has now, we are literally collapsing in our economy. And so they are looking for someone to blame. Instead of having a ruling party that tries to build on the successes of the past, this current ruling party is trying to create problems where there are no problems. And today's statements from Honorable Dora Siliya says that we have to go back and open a commission of inquiry into the privatization program. My fellow citizens, whatever happens with all these inquiries that we have done in the past, it will go nowhere. It is only aimed at victimizing a person who wishes to stand and run for office in our country. It is not a sincere call. It is a call that is not going to go anywhere because there are too many skeletons as far as that privatization program was concerned. Therefore, it is a distraction. The Patriotic Front and President Lungu are trying to distract you as Zambians, particularly the young people, the youth of our country, those who are turning 18, 19, and 20 and 21. Because they want you to believe that the current problem is as a result of privatization. No, it's not. It's not because Mwanawasa solved some of the issues that we are facing. It's not because by the time Rupiah Banda was leaving office, he left $2.5 billion in our national reserves. Therefore, it cannot be Chiluba's problem that we are faced with at the moment. It's not. It is as a result of the Patriotic Front. It is as a result of President Lungu's lack of vision. It is as a result of President Lungu's stubbornness to refuse to look at the data and help rebuild our country. It is as a result of the Congo Latwibe government. And what the Patriotic Front is trying to tell us is, look, we have built all these hospitals, 1,000 hospitals around the country. These hospitals are assets, but they are not assets for the people of Zambia. They are assets for China. Because as far as China is concerned, if they give you several billions, they lend you several billions, and then they export their own companies and their own general workers, it is a plus for them. You are creating jobs for China. You are not creating jobs for Zambians. And yes, China will lend you billions and billions so that you can build so-called hospitals all around the country. They'll do it because it's an asset for them. Because they know that once their balance sheet is done, they're going to see that this is a debt that is still going to come to China's coffers. But as far as we are concerned as a people in Zambia, we have been saddled with billions and billions of debt. The problem with debt is this. If you were earning, let's say, 5 billion in your national coffers through taxation, 5 billion, And let's say you spend $1 billion on education, $1 billion on health, $1 billion on infrastructure, $1 billion on salaries, and say you spend $1 billion on servicing national debt. If you borrow too much, it will mean that in order for you to pay back that debt, you have to sacrifice all these important sectors in order to pay back the debt. And as a result, you are going to have clinics and buildings built all around the country. Quite all right. But you can't staff those clinics. The reason is the money that you needed to staff those clinics is now going to paying back the debts to China. That is the situation we find ourselves in. We do not have enough money to invest in the sectors anymore. We have to pay back billions and billions of dollars in debts. This situation is not as a result of privatization. This situation is as a result of the Patriotic Front. And so today, they want you to believe that the cause of all this problem is Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. That's what they want you to believe so that you can be distracted by focusing on an individual without paying attention to the system that has brought us in this mess today. President Lungu now wants to go back to the Kaunda days. And so they've said that they've established what they are calling IDC, which is personally chaired by the president himself. The other thing is they want to bring back Zambia Airways. That's what they are saying. But you and I know exactly the role that cadres were playing under the Kaunda economic model. That's the kind of economic model that they want to bring back. Instead of building on the successes that we've scored as a country, they want us to go back so that 20 years from now, our children are going to go through another liberation, another privatization. Just a few weeks ago, fellow citizens, a private citizen in our country was given a sack of money by the head of state. Private citizen. And they used a Zambia Air Force chopper to take that money to Mongo. Zambia Air Force chopper. And men and women in uniform were there saluting that private citizen with a sack full of cash. Took it to Mongo. That is the parastatal model. They use the Zambia Air Force plane because there isn't any parastatal that flies around the country. Otherwise, if it was Zambia Airways, they were going to charter a Zambia Airways flight. That is how Zambia Airways went down. Misuse and abuse by the people that are connected to the ruling party. Do we have to say more? This government now is saying that they are going to buy Mopani copper mines. And we have to see the kind of diligence that has been done for them to say that they are going to buy Mopani copper mines. It does sound like very good, very rosy, but in actual fact, you need to deal with numbers. Very important. ZCCM Investment Holdings is itself just like a branch of the Patriotic Front. A CEO that does not toe the party line gets fired at will. That is not a way to inspire the confidence of an economy. That is not a way in which you are going to raise the living standards of our people. That is a way to destroy an economy. Like what happened during the Kaunda days. Those are kind of things that we need to look at as a country going forward. A level-headed approach to the management of our economy and our politics. To ensure that government concentrates on policy making, very important. And not a government that uses its cadres to control the economy. We have been through this before. It is not like it's something that is just coming up now. No, we have been through this before. That's exactly what used to happen under the one-party state. We've got to reject it. We've got to ask this government to begin asking for help from people that can help them. That is what we need to do. That ends my spiel. We have several comments here, so I don't know which one we are going to go with first. If you want to join me in this and talk about some of these things, there is the link that you can use. That's why the issue is not just the fact that they are distracting the youth. Particularly, they know exactly who they are targeting. It's the youth. Because in the 90s, suddenly we had a huge population boom in Zambia, 1990s and early 2000s. So they are targeting you with a very dangerous message as young people so that you begin shifting the blame where there is no blame at all. So to the youth, to the youth of Zambia, look at this and reject it. When the elections come, you know how to vote. I cannot at the moment tell you how you are going to vote because I'm non-political, I'm non-partisan. I may be a cadre quite all right, but I'm a fellow cadre, just like UPND or PF cadres. You are me, I am you. We are one together trying to assure a great nation and fortify the gains that we've had. Therefore, UPND cadres or PF cadres are not my enemies. Those who support the PF are citizens of our country. Those that support UPND are citizens of our country. The beef I have is not with our fellow citizens. The beef I have is with the clueless government of President Edgar Lungu, who now, after failing, after accruing so much debt that has suffocated investment in social services, he now have the audacity, the guts to take his finger and point at someone else. As the wise would say, when you are pointing your finger at someone else, 3 others are pointing back at you. But going forward, what we need is a leader who is stable, a leader who will be able to listen from other people, a leader who will be able to build on the successes of the past. Not to begin trashing the privatization legacy. It wasn't the best, but at least our economy has been reoriented, moved from dependency on Kaunda to where the economy is much more open than it was. Those are the kind of successes we need to do. William Lenga.
Good evening, Mr. Musha. Oh, good evening and good afternoon.
It's good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What I want to try and say here is we have had 2 former presidents, unfortunately they are all late, who were serious with the fight against corruption. We had Mwanawasa, who was very serious with the fight against corruption, and Michael Sat. If my records are clear, they did not talk about HH over the privatization and the corruption which was involved. Now the people who are rooting the country, the people who are leaders in corruption, they are the ones who want to try and fight the man. You know, all what I can say is that Zambians now, they are now Bashubuka. They are no longer, they are no longer voting on tribal lines. I think that is what these guys in government want to bring. Even the franchising of our brothers in the south and the northwestern province and the western province. You know, even those who voted in 2016 and 2015, they are still there. They are going to vote. Let them defranchise them, but all what they should know is that 2021,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Wadiam Lenga. Much appreciated. You see, Wadiam Lenga, we have this Zambian promise. It's a promise of unity. And we need all Zambians to know that we are going to live together as one country. We're going to do that. Thank you. Lifunga. Oh, Lifunga is gone. Shireshe. Muleti Poshani.
I think problem everybody seems to be choosing based on tribal lines. We're still having that problem. And I think per social media, things are really good. The youth are mobilizing. They're trying to give some sort of information. But the people that are suffering the most, the people, they don't have access to the internet and they're still being misled because the people that have the resources, that have got the vehicles to go and campaign, the people that have got all the money that are coming from the government. So 20 kwacha, 10 kwacha, people get excited. And if you think about how Zambia is running at the minute, there's such a large divide between the rich and the poor. So umuntu engasa kupera 20 kwacha, ngana umfwensara kupera 20 kwacha, you start believing that this person cares about you. And because people are almost in survival mentality, people are not looking beyond the day that they're in because abantu balechula sana. That's the problem that we've got right now. And that's the issue that I'm concerned about mostly, is that people will vote based on survival rather than thinking 10 years from now, 5 years from now, where will my children be? You know, where will I be 5, 10 years from now? Because
yeah, I thank you, Chileshe. I think that's exactly why we need to continue mobilizing and rebutting the lies. And so when Honorable Nawakwi comes up with all these things that she makes up, we have to be there and say no to this kind of distraction. And we should not think that this is not good enough. Like we shouldn't do this because of the villagers that have no access to the internet. The internet now is reaching everywhere in Zambia. And so we must continue dramatizing these issues and making these issues visible. If they have to deceive, maybe let them say that they are deceiving others. But for all the youth that are informed, stand up to these lies, challenge them for what they are, and do not get distracted. That's very important. Isaiah.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So what measures can we take to stop this? Because especially like the teenagers, or I can say the youths, the only thing that they do is just to maybe to empower you with or give you something that can be used at the stationary level. Maybe something that can use at a short period of time. They are not empower us to develop our ability that next time for maybe for 3 years or now, you are able to do, you are independent to do your own thing. They are just giving you maybe, let's say, like she said, a 20 kwacha, which depend on that particular moment. That money will help you just one day, but they won't empower you to do things that will maybe help you the rest of your life. So what measures can we take to these leaders? Because the only leader that we want as at now, a leader who have a vision, and the leader who can empower the youths and the whole country as large. Thank you.
I think what is clear at the moment, when you don't know what to do, you do what you know. We are sure at the moment that there is overpricing of contracts by the Patriotic Front. They are into this bad habit of borrowing and borrowing and borrowing to build so-called infrastructure that adds no economic value to our country. It is a government that likes pointing fingers at others, a government that cannot take responsibility for its own failures. This is the government that we must kick out as a people at the next elections in 2021. The youth of Zambia should not lose hope. Do not despair. Never. Because if we begin despairing, then that will be the end of this country. Continue believing that something good is going to happen. God is going to work again through the youths, take out these thieves, and create a new government that is going to be much more responsive to economic fundamentals. Never lose hope. That crowd born in the 90s, never lose hope. Never despair. Because when you despair, Nomba, you are just going to have no courage to live and exist, and you're going to despair. You have no reason to live and survive. You're not going to look at the world the same way. You feel betrayed and hurt. Not anymore. There is something that can be done. If they bring those 20 kwachas, of course, put them to good use. And may your vote reflect a vote on the future of our country, not on rehashing the past. Never. Chisumba.
Good evening, Wamunsha.
Good evening, Rex.
Yeah, okay, what we are seeing, these events that have been happening for the past weeks, months, they all point to 2021 elections, you see? So, yeah. Especially these privatization conspiracies, they come after 5 years. That is a fact. Since 2011, 2015, back, 2016, back. Now, Nawapu is back. I can urge the youths, those who were born in 1990s to 2002, yes. Vote PF based on the problems we are facing now, right now, between 2014 and 2016, based on overborrowing. Forget about this privatization stuff. You were not there, you see? You were not there in 1990. Swenzeko. Vote them based on overborrowing. Vote them out based on economic mismanagement, which they have done from 2015 to today. Ivama privatization, forget, I swear, forget. Whatever, this witch hunt, forget, don't pay attention to it, ignore. You see? Thank you. This is what I have for the youth. Vote them out.
Thank you so much. Vadifunga.
Vamusha twatotela sana pali platform iyi kutemwa sana kukalamba kokwe vati pali ndakai natkwata echinga tuleta pamo 2011 tatwakwete platform iyi and 2011 fwe mayuthi twaimine kuvota twaimine kwa vati tendumone change yaishile mukachitaka nono but chimoine change naisayo tuleterera palasti pantu ubuchushi nga pano ndi ne youth nkwete 34 years ngakoma tinalalocha pali ine lero nichitakuleko ndeya ifwe nalolocha pa bana bandi pantu iboro iwapanga ba PF ni mulandu wesu fwe ma youth pantu 5 years ago na ikote 25 years na 27 years ni mistake napangire ne youth pantu i mistake infue na wekesha hapo hiyo.
No.
One, nifwe bantu bamobene abale mina kukituoko pantu nalishmaini. Fwe bantu bamobene abale mina kukitwe nokulaba votela abantu bagwete mu parliament balefira okwishiba kwe bati uyu umwa omenihi umwana kashinishi pantu umuntu mukalamba tete ayesala ndefe nokula support efe kwe bati ili alero nango kukwinoko muli chita connect na ife kuno ku Zambia bale mituka fe bale kwa nomba nongo mitukeshani I change ile chitika ichintu chimondefa nandeko chikalamba pale wobushiku bukesa mu August uva kuvota security kuma security I think ni security ya youth mbale fwe bale shiba tulepanga change tukabalira oluchelo nenkoko ya number 1 nga yali rafi natenta mamu pantu nimbona twalikweteko by election kuna mpundu aba bantu bashirero bayebera abantu babo kwe bati bachere papa muline baye bavote then after 14 hours yalo makadaza babo bayingire bese bachita attack bebe amazi out
balifunga I think now for and challenge is a challenge for the youths to go obtain the NRCs, register as a voter and vote. Very important. Yeah.
How to
Christian the Junior. Bueno. Alenete nidiash.
Ndevo kuipsha.
Emkwai.
Aba Dora siriyeri abale yeah. Ela time bali mwemwe mji bastishe zamteo. Procedure wa control basata bapokele zamteo. Bena bakubere fya nomo procedure wakayo shire mirando barungwe bashire chitawe fedro. Nombe bali randa nomba bena yadi shari amadiru bale cyana shari
aho
kwena bati bena bali
I used some language in my previous broadcast. I will not use that language because but no, you are a preacher. So if you andira ne chibemba, pantungana tampo kulande chibemba. Tualala ndikadifi.
Ajibanya amafi bashingo mnabo.
Okay, anyway, that's the thing. And so that is the problem because skeletons. So number it's a distraction. We know that the PF government does not mean anything serious with that statement. But therefore I fear to cause Ngania.
Kaidi na wakata ma issue saying so therefore I want to concentrate kuma issue but not to issue areas.
And that's why we need to mobilize the young people, mobilize everyone so that in August next year, more voter. No, because I'm not a politician and I'm not politically inclined. If you njishive vyakuwa bati balungu na bakampenga babo ni bakabwalala. If you njishive ebeba ero pecho balungu testire discipline ama bakabwalala nicho banwa nabo badia nabo no kwiba kwine beba nabo
opana davu ave njipusheko ila prokaini ila program wena bacha ile mzamteo wena ya bashali ya shima yela alifoni filafine
na yoine tu mukatishikula nga mwateka wa Christian. Okay, thank you very much Bachanda West. Rose Limbrick, Rose, amutisha.
We ineba mwisha kwena. I live in United States. Anyway, I follow you all the time, and ichondela ndako feku the youth in Zambia because I'm an American citizen and then I'm a Zambian citizen anyway. I'm just so happy you are able to explain to the youth so that they can understand because there's so much suffering in Zambia whereby you it's just so sad. And then this were PF, especially Walungu, it's just really, really not acceptable where a president is not even able to discipline abo ale bombana bena, because it's like you have children. Abana bakwela obushiku, abana bale enwata beshi benefu bale shita, where wish you are just like that. That's the way Walungu is. I lived in Zambia anyway. But the Zambia was not like that. So I'm a youth, each and everyone. I'm from Mansa anyway. So Marisha fe the Haushi bali ba fe ma mind yabo bali ba brainwashed, because I was talking to other people in Luapula Kazembe. They said no, they have made things. We have seen branches and everything.
Now, touching Rose, wafya tukwete because na inewe ne kumirenge. Nstanga natu mafoni. Kumirenge. Nstanga natu mafoni. Nderanda na babululu shanda we na mirenge. Abati nawe uyuwine. Kanshi mumwebe na Luapula. Ine na Rose to amiebako. Ifyo balungu bachitire fyako bati na bakongola elo na beba nechuma chachalo muika bavotera.
Exactly, because
na baleta no lupato. Number because kutuma tolasha na NRC skulu wapula elo number southern province mwalanda tifima machine fyafwa.
Exactly.
Chimfulu poko wat nomba tuchiteshani tuila umfuana na abantu. Pwebene batuleke it's one Zambia one nation na kubatonga kwidi na batwale kwefima machine babapera ma NRCs abatonga pantu it's one Zambia one nation.
Because that's just really, really sad, whereby, and you know, when you even people, they ask you, where are you from? Oh, from Zambia. Because people are watching what is happening. You know, to tell you the truth, my fellow Wapula people, they are very primitive. They give them 20 kwacha, they are happy, they are dancing. They give them chitenge and
awe natumfuati nabambo kuchinja umunanduri ati Musamba Barbara Musamba ati natampa nokutumako olupia kuluwapula ati nabambo kuchinja awe papa PF bakakuchinja ale mwana kona kali mofirefine ati yo batubulwa batabashupa.
The other thing, because the minister shouldn't be even insulting citizens, because you are in the office because of the votes for roles for this person, for that person.
Awe tukabika kwa time hapa, we are running against time. But Gabriel, amutishan.
Yes.
Tuatotela ba Rose. Gabriel is offline. Vangosa. Amutishan. Vangosa is offline. Patrick Malunga. Tamulipo? Okay. I think Tapariapa. So apart from that, I can't see any comments. I can see several people calling each other. Super Ken says this is disturbing. It is disturbing indeed. Emmanuel Moava, this is absurd and very annoying. Why have we reduced ourselves to this level? You're right. We refuse this divisive scheme. It's true. We refuse it. We refuse it. Noreen Hart, Sia one said some time ago, I can't remember which video, but he did say so. I don't know. Nshiranda Sia one panopa broadcast because Nshiranda. How do they investigate someone for a crime they claim he committed 20 years ago? Mkwaide are not Sakanyanta. Tapadi na any investigation by FYI. You know? Tapadi. I'm watching from Kasanka. You're watching from Kasanka. Kumushimwesu. Binwa ukunda na mumfuefyo valanda ati Luapolanza primitive ain. Ninji shiba. Change is coming. Mwebena Luapola, please. Oko kumwansa womboko. Send a clear message that you are not going to tolerate the thieves from the Patriotic Front. Yeah. So imoko Kasanko oko binwa ukunda. Mtonton kanyepo. Why were not 10 years ago? Why has privatization suddenly ruined our lives now? That's exactly what they want. Sean Tembo, Jilo walusa, Sean Tembo, muleita wa Sean Tembo ain. So what CR1 says is the truth. The issue of machines not working. Atifima machine na afifua, but if yali bomba kulwa pula na northern province, fiabo mbefima machine. They have to all southern province fiafua. That's not right. Okay, we stand together as one country. We stand together as one country. Free education and other was possible because at the time of independence, we only had 1.5 million citizens. As the population grew and copper prices went down, it's true. That's exactly the information manga that we need to tell the young people. Because some people who got free education under Kaunda, they tell these young people to say, we had free education, let's go back to the parastatal days. No. Answer Bamobo Kaunda pay free education. They are very stubborn. We want to go back to the Kaunda days. Do not destroy the future of the young people. Help. Okay? Stephen Mole, they want to institute a commission of inquiry. Yeah, they just want to steal. They will appoint their own people at the commission of inquiry so that they can steal some more. That is what this government is well known for. You know, stealing and everything. The reason why Mfwali mask, it's to show that actually, in order for us to avoid the spread of COVID, you can wear a mask and you can actually talk with a mask. Okay, you can actually have a conversation with a mask. Very, very important. Okay, this is how you wear the mask. It covers your nose and your mouth. So that amate tarepula, because amate ere tuletere amate. So kanshi, you wear a mask wino and it is covered. You can talk to anyone and all that. You should not wear the mask where it comes under your chin. That is not correct way of wearing. How you take it out? You take it out on one hand like that. And then when you are in contact with people, it covers your nose and your mouth like that. And you can talk freely. Of course, it looks funny. It looks funny, but masks. So abantu abashirefwa masks limo kutu wasanga mo bwafya. So can you cover? Not this, like this, no. The reason is, when you do it like this, you are exposing umona, it's out there. So nombo tumate, kuti tuwaisa tuwaingira, nga tuwaingirira mumono munishi, walwala COVID. Evo afya bulipo. So nomba, you cover your nose. Pakweva ati, umuntu ngareranda na iwe tuli otumate, tuleleta COVID. Tatuingire in your follicles. Chisungwa inat follicles. Tatuingire mumona na mukanwa. Na iwe taulefisa bausha. Imagine. Now, before COVID, na mwishiwa, taili sana bad smell. If you're under this mask, tafibipide sana. But now imagine, when we were talking to people without masks, imagine you say danger. All this smell, abantu ebarenusha namate twalesa bausha yengi. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. And this is where we've got to end. Again, you remove it like that. This is where we've got to end. We've done almost an hour. May God bless our country. Let us continue fighting for a better Zambia, because we are able to make it. God has given us a very beautiful country. That we must reject this kind of divisive leadership, where we are being divided on the basis of tribe, where the government has failed to rule, and they begin playing a blame game. No, we say no to that blame game. We say no to the kind of rhetoric that Honorable Nawakwi is trying to bring. Nawakwi ever Minister of Finance during the privatization program. Ebo nombalero, 20 years later, she's finally found somebody whom she can blame about the current situation that Zambia is facing. We refuse that, we reject that, and we hope that the people of Zambia are going to make the decision next year to try and bring up some changes. Okay, thank you very much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to Elias Munsha Facebook page, and let us keep our conversation going. This is where we must end today. Okay, thank you very much for joining me, and may God bless our country.